Welcome to Mike's apartment. I am Mike. This is where we mix some comedy, some drinking, and some cuisine along the way. My co-host is Thom. My guest
Hello.
is Aunt Lainie of Aunt Lainie's Kitchen. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see everyone here. Yeah. Aunt Lainie, how are you feeling? How are
I'm
things
feeling
going?
really good.
Yeah.
Feeling really good. It's a nice day in Kansas City, so feeling good.
Yes, it is.
At least somebody has nice weather.
Well, Thom, how are you doing in Minnesota today?
Well, not as good as Kansas City. It's like 15 out and like super windy, so
And it's like
staying inside mostly.
mid to high 40s, I think, here in Kansas City. Right? Am I right about that?
Yeah.
I went out earlier,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So,
So we are here today. Thom and we have the Mike's Apartment show, but we are here today with Aunt Lainie. Aunt Lainie is, well, she's a polymath. She's good at a lot of different things. Most importantly, though, for our show is Aunt Lanie's Kitchen, which is her cooking and cuisine show and everything else. And we just want to ask you about that. If you could, maybe in just a few words, or maybe a lot of words even, how would you describe your cooking show, or how would you want a new person to be introduced to it who's maybe never seen you before?
I think that my cooking show is like visiting your nice aunt, not the cool one because I'm kind of corny. I make kind of corny jokes. I still watch Murder She Wrote reruns, all that stuff.
oh,
But it's
great.
like coming, it's like coming to your nice aunt's house and hanging out for a little bit, knowing you're in a safe place and you're gonna
Hmm.
have fun and you're gonna laugh and all of that stuff. So it's kind of like it's literally like a place of safety. That's how I would describe it.
Hmm.
Awesome. And then, so just so everyone knows here, um, kind of give a little bit of background on Mike's apartment. Mike's apartment about a year ago was envisioned to be a very different place than it is today. I was going to have a cooking show, and then I realized how hard it was. There's a lot of editing, and I know
Mhm.
you live stream. I'm not quite as comfortable with the live streaming as you are. I would probably say I like the ability, I guess, to edit some stuff out or to do whatever. But long story short, Mike's apartment was going to be about cooking, and I remember you had actually interviewed me about
Mhm.
said show, and honestly, like earlier this year, I even with my brother-in-law, we did a whole beef Wellington thing, and I had to go
Oh.
through it and edit, and we had I had like a bunch of plans, but then Thom and I were just like, well, you know what? Well, you know what would be easier for the production value and everything else? You know, we're gonna have a drinking show, I guess, where we just review the drinks, and we've sort of
Mhm.
expanded that. We kind of talk now to we sort of have like a talking commentary sort of going. So a lot of that has changed. However, I am super happy to see that you have stayed to the course. You have maintained, and you're still doing the cooking stuff. How would you describe your cuisine type, or what is your style, or your what do you like to do the most, or how would you describe that?
So just to be really clear, I started doing this in 2018
Oh yeah.
and I was so nervous and it was so like, oh my gosh, and my lighting was so dark. It was so dark. It looked like
Yeah.
my sister, because again, siblings, are you the crypt keeper? What's going on? Like, so I was like, oh my gosh. But then I got the light right. But then I'm always, when you're an auntie, you always have like some kind of like caftan on or some kind of thing with like lots of netting. And I almost caught myself on fire a couple times. And then
Oh
because I
no.
was swishing around as good aunties do. And
Hmm.
then sometimes I would get heckled by people on my live streams. And so I was like, I'm just not doing this. I'm just not doing this. Like I just would, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And then I don't know, maybe before my mom had passed away last year, probably
Oh
a couple
no.
years before she passed away, she's like, you know what? I'd like to see you on there because she thought it was hysterical. She said it made my day. It was so funny watching you
Hmm.
almost catch yourself on fire. I'm like, I have that kind of family. Um,
Uh,
so I'm like, you know what? And she's like, and your stories, you told fun stories and whatever. So I think like when I first started out, I was trying to do fancy things as well. Like I was
Mm,
doing the fanciest things that you could. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and do this like nice cut of meat, and I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this basmati rice, and I'm gonna fill it with something like all the things. And then I
mhm,
realized, that's why I was getting so nervous because, I'm like, why don't I do something that's a little bit more accessible? Like,
mhm,
what do I want to do as an aunt? Do I want to be the glamorous aunt, or do I want to be the aunt that is actually like you can call when you're struggling, like, what am I going to feed these people? I don't have a lot of money. What can I do? I still want it to be good, but I don't have a lot of money. Like, I want to be that aunt that you can
mhm,
call on to, like,
mhm.
help you out. And it's like, so, okay, let's make it accessible. So I would say
Yeah.
my food is accessible, that you can go and get my food anywhere, no matter where you
Mhm,
live. If you
mhm,
have like, a big a discount retailer, store, or you've got like, more gourmet stores, like you can cook it.
mhm,
Like everything I do, you can find it someplace and you can find it at different price points.
mhm,
So that's what I would say. But I don't I don't like sad food. For example, this is the anniversary of I made these spring rolls and I used round wrappers instead of square ones. And I hadn't made spring rolls in a long time, right? This is like last year. And so I used the round ones, but I overstuffed them because I just wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing that math in my head. So
oh,
then, and it took forever. Like this video was like an hour and 55 minutes. Okay. I don't
oh,
ever,
oh.
usually mine end at 45, but it was like, and people were on there with me. They were like, hey girl, you got this. You got this. Cause I just wanted to turn off the camera and give up. And so I ended up like, I overstuffed them. So I ended up cutting them in half. And then, an Aunt Lainie tip I would say is anytime you mess something up, just put it in a bowl. Okay. I put
Yeah.
them in a bowl. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, this looks kind of happy. It doesn't look like, this deconstructed mess. It actually looks like, oh,
Mhm,
well, she meant to put them in the ramekin like that. So that's kind of like an Aunt
mhm,
Lainey's tip. So I would just say my food is it's good and it's accessible. Anybody can make this
mhm,
food and anybody can make this food look really good. It's not
mhm,
sad food. Like I know that ramen noodles are big, like the instant ramen noodles, and I don't judge
mhm,
people because everyone has their price points. But for me, like ramen noodles, I've got to season it a little bit more. I've got to
right.
add those spring onions that are 98 cents. I'm gonna add a couple of those on top. I'm gonna add a little bit of lemon juice there. I'm going to, if I've got some powdered ginger, because fresh ginger right now, the pricing, I'm gonna do something
Mhm.
like that and give it a kick. Maybe even some the, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but I've been using it forever. Is it gochujang sauce? Gochujang sauce.
I wouldn't
It's like
know.
a
I'm not
Yeah.
exactly. I'm not
it's
maybe not the
mainly
best
used,
either.
I believe it's mainly used in Korean cooking, I believe. And
Okay.
so some of that, because it's going to have like this nice, or even a little bit of tamarind with the bean kind of curd thing. Like I'm going to do
Mhm,
that just a little bit. Now, if you're, that's kind of like what I do. I just make sure that I have a pantry. Like I want to encourage people to get some kind of pantry. It doesn't have to have as many
mhm,
spices as me because I'm a professional auntie. But if you can get at
mhm,
least 4 or 5 good kind of spices, six maybe, because they're selling,
mhm,
spices and seasonings everywhere. If you can do that, that would help you out a lot.
mhm.
I know I have.
Speak.
Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I was just gonna say. Speaking of ramen, I myself I've made one cooking video in my life, and I
Huh?
posted it, but it's as a joke. I was like, "How do you
Mhm,
make a vegan meal tasty?" And
mhm,
so I had these vegan ramen noodles that I cooked up, and I
mhm,
showed the ingredients, and then I added mozzarella balls, and, like actual cheese, and fried up bacon. I was like, "No, it's good." It's
Mm.
like, but it was just a joke. But I don't know.
Um,
So.
I will just say I have added kimchi to a lot of things, and I will say
mhm,
kimchi is very accessible in the refrigerated section, and
mhm.
kimchi can be added to a lot. I mean, it really does elevate a lot of dishes. I would, in my opinion, anyways. So I've been using it. So tell us, Aunt Lainey, uh, tell us a little bit more about your background. Like, where did you, what was the, maybe even before 2018, like, where were you inspired? Where did you first, you know, decide you wanted, maybe maybe didn't decide to do all of this, but it all happened because of this, right? So,
Well, I've been cooking forever. I'm a Gen Xer, so we literally like I was
Yeah.
cooking meals for people at 7.
Oh,
So,
nice.
and then I would babysit my niece, not my niece, my cousin and my sister. So I was like 10, 11, making sure we had like lunches and stuff like that, getting them like preparing their cereals, all that stuff. So I've always been doing that. I always say my training kicks in. I'm like, oh no, someone needs a sandwich, and I like, all of a sudden I'm like, here I am. Um, But I would say that. And then my mom's side of the family, they were really good cooks, but they were like down home cooks. And to them,
Mhm.
like doing really like cooking and all that other stuff, you had to be a certain age because they didn't want you to mess up the food because food costs money. But my
Uh-huh.
dad's family, and I was the oldest granddaughter there, so there's different level of responsibility. On my dad's side of the family, I was one of the second youngest grandkids, so I got to do all kinds of things because my grandma at the time was like, you know what, it is what it is. So I would say my grandma Alexander, that's the one who was like the farm because I we did, we have farm
Okay.
property and stuff like that. So I grew up spending my summers on a farm, and she would teach us how to garden and teach us how to like do certain things, and we would watch her. She would just say, okay, watch how I'm putting this meal together, because she had six kids and then grandkids, and then her grandkids had, she had great grandkids. And so she would tell us, okay, when you're here, because we're the youngest kids, we're going to eat big cuts of meat, we're going to do all these big things, but when everybody's here, you're going to see a change. And it's nothing personal or whatever. It's just that with more people to feed, we've got to make this food good, but we've got to make it stretch.
Hmm.
So I learned how to make things
Mhm.
stretch and make them good. And I think probably around 12, I'm like, man, one day I just want to write a cookbook. And I remember like writing some things down and trying to but I wasn't
No.
a cookbook
Okay.
person. Like I could sort of follow a recipe if my grandmother was
Mhm.
over my shoulder, but my mind would always be like, I mean, it says a teaspoon of pepper, but what if we did like, what if we add a little bit of like paprika to that?
Mhm.
What would happen then? Like I was always like an experimenter. Um, and so that's kind of like, I feel like that's kind of where it comes from. And in my weekly streaming, which I stream on my personal Facebook, then I upload it to TikTok and YouTube. I talk about that because I know a lot of people are trying to make things stretch either for
Mhm.
themselves for days or their families. And so it's important that, and again, we live in like social media times. People are always
Mhm.
comparing their aesthetic. Everything's turned into Pinterest, but now we've got AI. So people might not realize that these beautiful aesthetics that they're seeing are very altered pictures, you know?
Mhm.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
so I just kind of want to show people like, in what I do is like, hey, this is kind of, how you do it. That's what really keeps me inspired. And I think when I was younger, I thought, I want to give back. And this is my way of kind of giving back by showing people how to cook. And that's kind of what I thought, like age 12. But again, age 12, I don't even think we had the Food Network back then. We had PBS back
Yeah.
then. And
Okay. Yeah.
I used to watch the Julia Child, and I would watch
Oh
her.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Julia Child. And I would watch, like, I think not the Galloping Gourmet, but there was somebody else that I would watch all the time on there. Lydia, like
Oh,
just other
yeah.
people like that were on there.
Lydia.
And who was her? Oh my God, I'm trying to think of her cohort that was always on there. What is his name?
uh,
Jacques Pepin. Jacques
Mhm.
Pepin. Yes, the Frenchman. Yes, I loved watching them. They were so much fun. It was like watching your aunt and your uncle, like just like he would just sit there and
wow.
watch her, like, he didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
He's like, okay, we're having fun now.
I mean, I think
Uh.
for me, like Anthony Bourdain, John
Hmm.
Pierre White, who taught Gordon Ramsay. Although, I mean,
Hmm.
I have several of the books. And I obviously love Julia and Julia. That's a great, that's a great
Yeah.
movie. But, but no, I would just say, or just before the end of the show, and everyone can know this here, before the end of the show, in the link of this of our upload, we'll have all of Aunt Lanie's links. So
Mhm.
we're definitely gonna give you those props. I'm gonna kind of turn it over
Well,
a little bit to Thom here. Tom,
oh,
you kind of
sure.
take over
Yeah.
a bit here with Aunt Lainie, and
Oh,
because I know you definitely have
yeah.
some things to talk about. So.
Well, so I wanted to ask you about like grocery shopping. So like for me, like if I well, lately I've been using DoorDash, so it's just to deliver it. But when I would go to the store, I wouldn't like have a list or anything. My ex-wife would have like a plan, like, okay, I get this stuff at Aldi, I get this stuff at Cub, this stuff at
Hmm.
Walmart, whatever. And I was
Hmm.
like, wait, that takes a lot of time. And you also mentioned like you sometimes you were getting like some of the ingredients you got like for those cookies and stuff you made the graham cracker cookie with the frosting and stuff you
Hmm.
got from that some of that stuff from like Dollar Tree. So like what is your strategy for like grocery shopping? Do you like plan ahead what are you going to make this week and then and and make a list from that or how do you do it?
Well, 2 years ago, I would have said, well, I have my list and my very high end list. And
Hmm.
I sashay around the stores and go, oh, I'm going to just, but now in 2025, what I do is I go and buy whatever's on sale.
Yeah.
So like I had to go from ground beef to
Uh-huh.
ground turkey because my sister is very honest with me. She's like my
Mhm.
bestie. And I was talking about ground beef and she's like, ground beef? Are you trying to scare away the viewers? That's for rich people. Girl, you better get some ground
Yeah.
turkey and quit playing. So I'm like, you know what? You're right. So ground turkey is a lot cheaper. So
Hmm.
I basically like I go for the meat first, then I look at
Hmm.
the vegetables, like what's on sale, like, all that. I find myself getting ground turkey, chicken drumsticks, because chicken drumsticks are cheaper than anything.
Hmm.
Like you can get a
Hmm.
lot for not very much. Um, Also chicken thighs, although because of the Food Network and all the other things, chicken thighs skyrocketed. I always
Oh,
get
did
some
they?
kind of
Oh,
bread, like a sandwich bread, and then I'll also have like a pita bread because I'll make pita bread pizzas. Because the pita
okay.
bread is
Yeah.
actually pretty soft and it's less expensive than when you go actually go buy a pizza crust thing. I mean,
Hmm.
those can be good too, but like if you're doing individual pizzas or just like, everybody gets there because now everyone's so used to a la carte. Like when I was a kid, you got a pizza from the grocery store and
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe some other place if you had coupons, but you got that. And if you didn't like mushrooms, you had to pick it off. And then maybe like
Yeah.
your mom or dad would go, okay, well, this doesn't have, they moved the mushrooms before, they put it in there. But for the most part, you just had to pick everything off unless you had an allergy or
Yeah.
something like that. But
Yeah.
now, because people have different kind of, dietary things, I find that
Yeah.
using the pita bread and getting like some pizza sauce, although you could use marinara if you needed to, I just like
Hmm.
using pizza sauce because it's a thicker and it's not as
Hmm.
runny. But if you just wanted the hint of tomato, you could just do like a regular like spaghetti sauce, but just do a little bit
Yeah.
of it. Don't plop it on there because it's not
Yeah.
very heavy. But I know you're like, girl, where the grocery thing? Okay, so but that's kind of where I go because I do the meat,
Yeah.
the veggies, the bread, then some kind of dessert. Now I cook with cake mixes and cookie mixes because I used
Okay.
to make things from scratch. But then
Hmm.
flour got really expensive. I got offended by the price. So the cook
Yeah.
the cookie and the cake mixes, you can find those at the Dollar Tree, but also they're like they're under $2. So I can just do that.
Hmm.
I've got my 3 eggs that I'm gonna add and the oil and the
Yeah.
water and then there you go. So I kind of look like that.
Mhm.
So again, meat,
Yeah.
veggies, um, bread, desserts, and then if there's any kind of thing with potatoes, what I've been doing now because I do work from home is I have an air fryer. And so I've
Okay.
got food I can just air fry for lunches if I have to. But then also if there's a sale on potatoes, then I'll go and I'll get some russet potatoes. And instead of like, cooking the whole thing, I'll cut them in half or I'll cut them into coins and I'll bake them and season
Okay.
them. And then I'll have those because those are something you can eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner, like some kind
Yeah.
of potato
Yeah.
situation. You can just do one big coin if you're trying to kind of cut back on carbs. Um,
Uh-huh.
and also, with breakfast food, I always have like a sausage. I've got like waffles available. Sometimes I do
Hmm.
like a miso soup or a broth or something like that. It just kind of
Hmm.
depends how much I'm going to eat. But I go in there with a plan, with my groceries, with a plan of the things I want to make and everything I want to
Hmm.
make very simple, very easy, because the more complex it is, the more likely you are to DoorDash when it's 65 degrees.
Yeah. 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 That's excuse me. Yeah, no, I gotta get better at grocery shopping and and maybe looking at places because I remember my ex and I, we would sometimes go to like the dollar store to get stuff for like say like making Christmas decorations or birthday, like
Mhm.
getting ribbons and stuff for like the chairs. And my wife would, she would like decorate the boys' chairs and stuff on their birthday, put balloons on or whatever. But I didn't know at the time that they actually had food like
Mhm.
like frozen pizzas or whatever. I don't remember what all they had, but that is a good place to check out. For options, especially if a budget is an issue. Um, but I also know you had also mentioned like you used to like say use 3 onions a week, but now you've cut back to like one and stuff like that. So like the cost does. I gotta be better about that too. I usually just look at stuff and just put it in my cart, and then I'm like, why is this $300? Oh, I bought that Lego thing that was $200, but but I, sometimes I'm an impulse buyer, but I also wanted to ask, you mentioned when you were, because you went to school in Minnesota for law, and I think I heard you mention you were involved in like a theater community. Did I hear
I
that right?
Yes, I was. So my background is I do have my bachelor's degree is in music, contemporary music. I was a
Oh, okay.
classically trained
Wow.
opera singer. I started off at
Cool.
Kansas State. I ended up in a small Jesuit college that's no longer with us in Santa Fe, New
Oh no. Okay.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Um, and and so, but I went there knowing that I wanted to kind of get into entertainment law, and so I did
Okay.
the bachelor's degree, and I got a scholarship for it. And so I
Hmm.
found when I found myself, in Minnesota, starting off in law school, and as I mentioned before the interview, both my parents got sick. My sister was in college, so I went ahead. I dropped out of law school, and I got a paralegal degree from Inver Hills Community College,
Hmm.
and then like I ended up kind of going into the film industry. But while I was in Minnesota, I was the box office for Theater de la June Lune, and it's no longer
Okay.
there. It's been there since I think 2008, maybe 2010, something like that. I think they have another theater that they've started, but I did the
Hmm.
box office there for a long time. I think I started that in 98, and I think I was
Wow.
there until like 2002. I think 2002. That's when
Yeah.
it was about then. So there was a lot of people in the theater community. Plus, I started off wanting to sing. So, like
Hmm.
do that part time. And so I was also, I did classes at Dudley Riggs,
Hmm.
the improv place. I think, is that still
Okay.
around? I believe it
I
is.
don't. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with some of those schools,
It's like Brave New
but
Workshop, I think it was called.
mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
so that's kind of like,
Aunt Lainie, this is a crazy
yes.
question, and feel free to say no entirely.
What?
Could you sing us a little ditty, a little? Is there anything you could?
Maybe
Oh,
I don't know, something simple like maybe some Godspell or I don't know.
uh,
Day by day,
Day
love
by
me more
day.
clearly. I don't even know the words. I just remember that because that's
Yeah.
back in the day, it was God spelling Jesus Christ,
A
superstar.
superstar.
Yeah, that's what it was. Does
Wow.
that count as a ditty?
you still
I can
have it.
imagine.
Yes, yes, you
Yeah, you
definitely
got
still
it.
had
You
it.
got it.
And you can see well if you look at Tom's background there, you'll see he has a guitar there. Tom also
Oh yeah.
has a bit of a music background himself, so.
Yeah. Well, no, in high school and college, I was really involved in theater,
Mhm.
and anything music, choir, band, and all of the small groups like the guys quartet, or we had chamber singers where it's like
Mhm.
16 people, guys and gals. Um, and then and then in college, the theater stuff got kind of upped a bit because they had a budget, you know,
Right?
and so and in there, I did everything. I was in the plays, I was in the pit orchestra. I had a work study job, which if people don't know what a work study job is, that you can get a job on campus. It doesn't pay very
Hmm.
well, but but I worked in the scene shop at the theater, so I helped build all the sets, do all the lighting and stuff like that. Remember climbing like a 16-foot tall rickety ladder to do a light, adjustment. And I was like, oh man, I don't do well with heights, but I still did it. So, but no, I got
Yeah,
real
that's
excited when you mentioned that. I was like, wow, that's just so exciting. But
where did you go to school, may I ask?
yeah, so high school, I went to I lived in a small town called Crosby, and they had
Hmm.
high school is called Crosby Ironton. There's two towns that are right together, high school. And if you aren't familiar with that, it's like 20 minutes from Brainerd, Minnesota.
Yeah, I know where Brainerd is.
Yeah, and
We've
then
all
when I
heard of
Is
went,
there
Brainerd.
like iron
yeah,
range?
yeah, well, actually, my one of my first summer jobs. So the that was an iron range, and one of my first summer jobs was working at an old underground mine as a tour guide, and that was fun. The mine itself wasn't real because the mine's flooded within like 30 feet of the
Mhm.
surface, so they built a simulated mine in an old hill, whatever. But um, but then I went to college in Brainerd to their community college, Central Lakes Community College,
Mhm.
and but yeah, they just had a great music program, and the band director's daughter dated Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh,
So,
wow.
the band director, he's like, "Ah, that guy is just so down to earth and stuff." But anyways, I'm kind of digressing from our
That's
cooking and stuff like
that's
that.
all
But
right.
yeah, we ate a lot of ramen in college too. So
Oh yeah, I remember. I mean, I'm older than you are, but
yeah.
I didn't even know what ramen was till I got to college.
Oh,
And
really?
that when
Okay.
someone gave it to me, I was like, this is sad. Like the noodles were fine. I had a
Yeah.
problem with the seasoning. And
Okay.
so
Yeah.
Yeah, once like, and that's what's, it'd be really good. As I said, if you add this in here, maybe we could do a little
Mhm.
bit of that. I mean, I wasn't thinking about powdered ginger back then. I was more thinking about like maybe if we had some carrots here,
Okay,
and like
yeah.
maybe like a little bit of the green onions, that would kind of give it like something, or
Yeah.
I was more thinking about that, and a little bit of lemon juice,
Yeah. Oh, that would
and
be
so,
great.
give it a flavor. Those are my three. Those are like my holy trinity back then when it came to
Hmm.
any kind of like ramen noodle, any kind of Chinese food, any kind of Asian food. I was like, I think I just need some green onions and I need some carrots and some
Yeah.
lemon juice. Now, granted, it's so much more complex than that. So if someone watches this and they're like, girl, no. But again, it was the 90s. That's all I
Hmm.
knew. It's to kind of like, get it, do the Gen X caveat. It was a different time.
Hmm. I don't, Mike, are you part of Gen X? I know I am. Uh,
I'm
I'm on the tail end. I was born
I
'77.
may be the youngest here, but no. I mean, I will say this. Definitely for elevating dishes. Like there's a lot of like little things. Like I would say, like anything with pasta or any kind of sauce. You know, once you dump it in, take the empty bottle, put a little bit of tap water in there, put the top back on, shake it, and then put that in too, because you're missing, you'd be losing a lot of sauce
Mm.
otherwise. Like just like a little other thing.
I
Put
use,
butter in the noodles.
yeah,
Put salt
Hmm.
in the water. It's just like there's a lot of
yeah.
little things you can do to elevate dishes that I know Aunt Lainie can, obviously explain a lot better than I can. But those are like
I
kind of
try to
some of
use
the
a
things I know.
spatula. I
Huh?
use a spatula on my sauce jars.
Well,
Hmm.
well,
That's a grandma way. That's
that
from
is
grandmas. My grandma had one of those spatulas, and I
Yeah,
swear, I feel like it was being held together just
yeah.
by like prayer.
Oh,
And she always, and when that thing came out, she had different sizes too. She had like the
oh
small one
yeah.
for the smaller jar. Then she had the big one, and she would like would turn it around and be just doing that little thing. And then I had smaller hands, so sometimes I would be as her arthritis got,
Oh yeah.
more advanced. Then I was doing that thing. I was trying to get in there and like looking, and I had like an eye for that. And even now, sometimes I have to stop myself. I'm like, okay, calm down. You're not feeding like 15 people today. We don't need like you did what you could with the barbecue sauce. You don't need to go saw it open
Mhm.
the plastic bottles and then try to
Yeah,
get the rest of it out. Like we're not. It's not the depression right now. Well,
yeah, yeah. Uh, we used to do that with like the toothpaste too, like cut off the end of it and to get the rest of it out. And but
yeah. Like I tell my niece these stories and she's like, "Oh, that's tragic." Like,
yeah,
what are you talking about? It was Tuesday, kid. It was Tuesday for us. It was Tuesday.
yeah.
Well,
Uh,
Aunt Lainey, another quick question, just to sort of, kind of keep it on track about your show. What would you, you know, Thom especially, and I've gone back and seen a lot of your shows too. What do you see as the future of Aunt Lainey's Kitchen, or what do you foresee for yourself? What are the new things that you think that will be happening, or what do you want maybe something that you aspire to do that maybe you're not doing now, or something along those lines.
Well, I definitely, this is a passion project for me, and I've been told by other people, you really need to take it to the next level. And I'm like, well, but there's so much competition. And I know people, I say
mhm,
that, and then if you would say that to me, I'd be like, but they're not you. And again, they're not
mhm,
me. But I kind of like, I'm looking and I'm like, I kind of want to start doing more podcast interviews, like going on other people's podcasts and doing that as well.
mhm,
I also think I might want to, I'm kind of eyeing like a cookbook situation,
Mm.
like doing more like an online one because I
mhm,
think unfortunately like the hardcover books, all that stuff, it's kind of like I don't want to say it's dying because I do buy cookbooks, but I
mhm,
think for my audience, I think my audience, they're younger. They're mostly online. A lot of
mhm,
them don't really, do the book thing. They're more likely to like look at it on their phone and do
mhm.
it. So I kind of want to go because I'm Aunt Lainey, right? I kind of want to go where my audience is. So I kind of looking at a cookbook, just trying to kind of figure out, because everything's under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. But I kind of want to put an
Yeah.
Aunt Laney spin on it. I want to talk, I want it to be
Mhm,
safe. I want it to be accessible and I want it to like, look good. Like that's kind of what I'm looking at is like maybe doing that, I like the thought of doing a national like cooking show or anything like that besides what I do seems very intimidating because,
Yeah.
again, because, there's editing, there's all these things you don't think about, like, oh
Mhm.
my, and people, when it comes to food, these people are savage,
Yeah.
savage. They will rip you
Yeah.
apart.
Oh yeah.
They will hurt your feelings. And I'm a Gen Xer. I don't even have feelings, but I'm like, oh my, if I had a feeling, that would hurt right now. Like,
Yeah, yeah, we don't have feelings on our show either, but that's probably because of the drinking. I don't know, but
Yeah, we
or no,
but
wait,
that's
no, doesn't drinking enhance certain feelings, lower
um
inhibitions, or what? I don't know.
I all I would say is, yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons we sort of like made the shift. And don't get me wrong, I mean I would totally be down for like another kind of cooking scenario, but
Yeah.
it is
mhm,
difficult. It is definitely it is hard. The
Mhm.
production value is hard, and you're right.
Mhm.
mhm.
The criticism is through the roof, even on like the most
Because it's
basic and
silly.
simple
It's
thing.
it's not
Yeah,
even it's not even real things. Like I get
yeah,
if you're like, oh man, she didn't use gloves doing that. She's talking about making this for a party. I In most of my videos, I wear gloves, especially if I'm cooking
Yeah.
for other people. 100% of cooking for other people, the gloves
Yeah.
are on, right?
mhm,
Sometimes I
Yeah.
don't cook with gloves for myself, but again, I always have my hands are clean, whatever. But like I cook with gloves, and so just because I would do
Mhm.
that anyway if the cameras weren't watching, but like, it's one of those things. That's why I always do the caveats like, hey, this is just for me tonight. So, because
Yeah.
it does get to it gets to a mean place because it's one thing to have constructive feedback. Like somebody
Yeah.
told me, hey, can you get in the frame more? Okay, that's legit because I'm not always, I forget. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, wait, my mind will
Yeah.
jump and I'm like, okay, I got to go off camera to get this thing. Okay, that's legitimate criticism and I'm doing a lot better than I was like a year ago on that. But some of these people are just being petty, just to
Yeah.
sit up there and be petty. And it's
Mhm.
like, and my sister watches all of my Facebook lives. And I think she does that because when I was getting heckled, she was like there, like keyboard warring, like, and so I
mm,
don't
Your
want to raise
sister's
her
got
blood
your back.
pressure. Yeah, for real, for
Yeah.
real. Having a younger sibling, oh my gosh,
Oh
it's not for
man.
the weak.
No. No, I remember. I think on the video you did on Tuesday, you commented on the framing issue. You're like,
Yeah,
I think as a previous video you were referring to. You're like, it's like I was doing an interpretive dance, going in and out of
yeah, I
frame.
was. I
Or
was like, I'm
yeah.
in, I'm in.
So, but yeah, no, that's important. We always, so I have the desk I use for our videos is also my work desk, and it's an adjustable desk, and I have to adjust it for our video. So I'm always asking Mike, is my frame? Does it look good? Whatever. It's like, I mean, that is important stuff. I mean, we want to see
and
you and all that, and yeah,
the worst part about it, and no offense to Tom, but I'm almost a foot taller than Tom.
yeah.
And yet his head is a little bit I don't know.
Well, that's the advantage I have with my adjustable desk.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can look taller.
definitely. Well, you can always like lean back, lean forward, whatever you want to do.
But Mike,
Um,
in all fairness, you're pretty tall. You're pretty tall, aren't you?
Yeah,
Six? Are you
yeah,
6'2"?
I'm about 6'3", almost. I'm six. Yeah,
Six
you're
three?
right.
Yeah. So
I'm
you're
6'2", almost 6'3". Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
you're
Uh,
tall.
and my oldest, he's like 6 foot tall too. I got two boys, and my oldest, he's 17. My youngest is 15. Well, no, no, he's turning 15 in April. Sorry, I can't remember my kids' birthdays. I'm getting apparently I don't know if that's an issue with our age, but no, he's taller than me too. But he's not much taller than me. But my ex-wife's family has a lot of people that are 6 foot plus. They're all like Swedish or whatever,
Mhm.
It's
Norwegian.
common in
But
Minnesota, I guess. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's common and when I was working at a restaurant, I would have to write down this again, like with pencil, right? And
hmm
someone would say, "Hey, it's a party of four Anderson," and I'd say, "Hey, is that two S's E-N or one S O-N?" And then,
yeah,
or like, oh, just can you just say like or someone would call for someone, hey, can you tell them that Heidi is calling in for such a, I'm like, okay, but Heidi, what's your last name? Okay, because we got like five
yeah,
Heidis right now. So
yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. That's I don't think I could work in a restaurant scenario. I would just be too stressed out. I remember
well now
once.
yeah.
What's that?
No, now it is really stressful.
Yeah, I remember. I think my ex and I we had gone out. We had just got a new car, and we decided to celebrate. We went out for like to a nice little restaurant for some food, and they had it was during happy hour, so they had like a special on wine, and they're like two for one. So we thought I would get like a red, and my ex wanted a white, and they brought two of each. We didn't realize that's what they meant. It was like whatever. Anyways, but the waitress who sat us down and showed us our table, she disappeared, and then we found out she just walked out. She just had enough. I was like, well, I mean, you talk about like people being critical, like heckling you and stuff on the show. People do that in restaurants. I don't get it.
Yes. And I've worked in restaurants in the 90s, early
Mm-hmm.
2000s, and most of the people that would get cranky were older, like, and they wanted their tables when they wanted it. Kind of, they would
Mm-hmm.
remind me of my grandparents. They were great people, but when they said 5 o'clock reservation, that meant they are in their seats at 5 o'clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was a different kind of crankiness. Like, they just wanted you to be on your best game. Now people are like, oh, I didn't like his tie, so I'm gonna Yelp
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna put that in a Yelp
Oh,
review. Or
oh my
you know
gosh.
what? Like, this is a spicy restaurant, but I don't like spicy food. But I'm gonna talk about on Yelp how I just think it's dangerously spicy. Like, I think people
Wow.
feel very disempowered in their regular lives. So
Mhm.
they just start, they're basically like, you know what? I want to stay married. So let me just go yell at the server instead of my spouse. So I
Oh,
think
Yeah.
there's a
jeez.
lot of people that are transferred. They're doing like this transference. Again, I do not have a psych degree,
Yeah.
but that's just something that I have observed just in general, like being
Yeah.
in restaurants, watching people get like come in there just wanting to fight somebody. And so just
Yeah.
wanting to have a problem with somebody, like they're crossing the street to start a fight. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a different kind of thing. I would not go back to working in a restaurant these days because of the yelping, like the crazy yelping, not even anything legit. And then just the people will Facebook stalk you.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like it's one of those things. So I would not do that. But speaking of restaurants, do you guys have like a favorite type of food that you like to eat? Favorite type of restaurant?
Oh gosh.
Go ahead, Tom. Un-
It's his favorite type. I think well, I mean I do kind of like some like the sit down kind of restaurants, maybe not super expensive, but like
Mhm,
Applebee's, I used to go to Perkins a lot in college
mhm.
and get like the appetizer sampler. It had like the mozzarella sticks and chicken wings or
For like
whatever.
8.99.
Yeah, and then bottomless coffee. I remember one night after a
Hmm.
play, the we were talking about theater earlier. The cast went out at to Perkins afterwards, and they're open 24/7.
Hmm.
And I got that, and then I think I drank like 3 pots worth of coffee. Got home, and I was like wide awake. I was like, I think I'm gonna write a rock opera because we were doing Tommy, which was a rock opera written by the Who, if
Hmm.
you're familiar with them. And so I started working on my own little rock opera, whatever, and but I was just so wired. I had so much coffee, but yeah, no, Perkins was good back then, and I don't know. I like being able to sit down and where you have time, where you're going to take time and like talk to the people you're with, connect. People don't connect much anymore. But that's like when my ex-wife's dad likes to take the grandkids out and I out for their birthdays, and that's like one of the few times they will sit and not be on their phones. You
Hmm.
know, I'll be like trying to show them a movie or something, and they're like on TikTok, watch or whatever, watching reels or shorts or whatever. But
Hmm.
uh, but no, yeah, I like those times when you can just connect with people, and I think it seems like that's kind of a little bit of what you're about too, is like creating
Hmm.
situations where you can connect with people with down to earth. I think you mentioned on your last show that you don't necessarily remember a lot about those fancy get-togethers you went to, but the
No.
times you had at the more low key whatever events you went to, family gatherings or friends.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in Hollywood for 5 years,
You
and
did,
I went
okay.
to a lot of fancy things. I worked in the legal department of
Mm.
a global major studio, and there was great that man. The food was good, like I know that kind of thing, and it was fun or whatever. But I had much more fun going to the after things when we go to the dive bar across the
Oh,
street. and
Yeah.
hang out, you know, have some mozzarella sticks or whatever, like go and, you know, like drink a little bit, you know, drink a little bit or just hanging out, going to somebody's like you know, house for a game night. You know, that I
Mm-hmm.
remember those things and the food that we ate and all of that. But the bigger things, it's like I can tell you probably what I wore, but I can't tell you, you know, I can tell you that the food was good. So where I worked, Wolfgang Puck was the caterer. His company catered all of the food, whether it was for events, whether it was for like the restaurants that we had, like on the studio lot, it was Wolfgang Puck. And so I did get spoiled, I will admit. You know, when I had to leave, I was crying. I was like, this recession. But yeah, so that food was good. But again, I do remember more of the small gatherings that we had
Mm-hmm.
outside of work or after work. Those are kind of the things, and I, with everything going on and the prices going up, I think it's just a really good time for everybody to kind of like reconnect. And it doesn't have to be this huge
Mm-hmm.
fancy production. And I think again, like I love social media. It keeps people connected, but I also think it creates this weird competition thing where everybody is like they're posting their food, but like maybe the motives are just to kind of like be like, look how fancy I am. And again, that
Mm-hmm.
is that's between them and whatever their photo
Mm-hmm.
gallery, but it's like it's not as much fun. So like people don't want to show the burnt edges, although when I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid, the grandma, like the macaroni and cheese got burned a little bit in the
Yeah.
oven, or like, you know, whatever cookie got burnt just a little bit, we would
Mm-hmm.
fight over the burnt pieces.
Oh, would
The
you? That's
crispiness.
funny. Yeah. Oh, the
Yeah.
crispy. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Like we'd fight. We'd be like, "Hey, it's mine. You got the corner last time." Like it would be something like that. That's why I do mention in a lot of my things when things don't go quite right. Like, hey, look, I made it grandma style, right? Old
Yeah.
school grandma style, not grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grew up the grandma. I got friends who are grandmas as a Gen Xer,
Yeah.
but the old school grandma style where she's got like the floral dress and like the
Uh-huh.
slippers. And maybe her wig's a little crooked. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's got the curlers in all the time, unless she's at church. Like the whole kind
Yeah.
of thing, like that's kind of like, you
Yeah.
know, that's kind of like the vibe I want to have.
What was that called? I went so like I think it was called goulash, where they would take all the leftovers, just
Yeah,
kind of put them
it's
together.
Hungarian. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's and just have a meal out of all the leftovers, and it'd be great.
Yeah,
When I was
fridge clean.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's good.
so
Well, I would
I
just
yeah.
quickly here. Um, you know, I think we've had a lot of great conversations here, and
Mhm.
I would love a lot more interviews with Aunt Lainie here. But Aunt Lainie, before we probably got to cut us off at some point here.
Mhm.
What would you what would you say, or what would perhaps communicate to other people? We want to watch a lot more of your shows. We want to see a lot of them. We want to see every show that you can put together and then some. What would you recommend we do at this point? And you talked about a cookbook, but perhaps not a traditional normal cookbook. What would you like to have happen from all of this, and what can we do to support you more?
I mean, I think that you know, I guess just spreading the word about Aunt Lainey and that would really help me as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I, you know, as I'm talking to you, because again, like this is a passion project for me, but with
Mm-hmm.
everything going on, I feel like, and people have told me we need more of you, like to be out there more, not just in your own little kitchen. We need more people need Aunt Lainey. I
Mm-hmm.
guess, you know, it'd be really great to have like a cooking segment on a show, not me
Oh,
by myself, but like doing like a cooking segment,
oh,
doing like a food segment, just bring in like the good vibes someplace. So I would definitely be open to doing that, whether it's a segment where I just talk about cooking or I actually have to get up there and cook, but it, you know, not in my, I don't want to be in my kitchen doing all that, but
Mm-hmm.
but something like that, just like, you know, going on and just really encouraging people to, you know, keep up with the accessible cooking.
well,
Mm-hmm.
let me talk to Tom after this, but I think we would definitely love a segment with Aunt Lainey on some kind of regular basis. May I speak for both of us here, Tom? I mean, I think we would
No.
definitely
No, I'm
enjoy.
kidding. Go ahead.
I think we would enjoy. I think that would be beneficial for us both, and yeah, we would love to see it. So yeah, before I post this though, I want your TikTok. Well, I already have your Facebook, but I have your Facebook. I want your TikTok. I want your YouTube. But yeah, we would love to. I mean, Aunt Lainie, you are a superstar. You may or
Yeah.
may not believe that. You are a polymath within you have many different skills. You bring them all together in a unique way. And I think everyone would love to see a lot more of that. I
Mhm.
definitely would love to do more and more shows, including you. And if, of course, my partner is Thom here, and
Yeah.
I hope he agrees with me. But
It's
yeah,
been a lot of fun today. No, I in our short little time today, and I've learned a lot. And then plus, I watched like two of your videos so far. It's been busy this week, but I you've got so many good tips and stuff. I think it'd be great for people to be aware of. Simple things like going to the Dollar Tree or dollar store to get ingredients. For stuff. Um, I mean, I probably would never have thought of that, even though my ex-wife had taken me there, and I just kind of forgot about some of that stuff. But that you got a lot of good information. That's one thing. I mean, you commented, I think, a little bit about how there's a lot of cooking shows out there, but
Mhm.
nobody is Aunt Laney. You've got something
mhm,
worth sharing. I'm glad you're doing it. And if there's anything we can help with, I mean, we would love to, I think. So,
we would.
Oh my
and
gosh.
and thank you for coming on. It's been fun. I think we could do another 2-hour show like you did
I know,
that
right?
one cooking
We
show,
could
right?
totally. You get two Minnesotans on there, and it's like, oh, don't you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Oh yeah, sure, you
well,
betcha.
Oh no, yeah.
oofta, what are we gonna do
Oofda.
here?
Oofda.
I don't know. Don't you know? I don't.
All right, so before we go further here, any closing thought, Aunt Laney? Any closing thoughts before we?
Well, I just wanted to tell you that you can find me on Instagram, TikTok,
Mhm.
Facebook, YouTube. I think those are my four main ones that I'm
Mhm.
at Aunt Lanie's Kitchen. So you just look up Aunt Lanie's Kitchen and you should be able to find me that way. I did have one more question because I
Oh,
know
of
Thomas
course.
answered the question, Mike, but you did not about your food, like, and what kind of
Oh,
restaurants you like to do, because I know I'd interviewed you
oh,
before, but it's been a year and it's been a year full of change for the whole world. So I don't know if your
Yeah.
answers have changed since last year.
yes. Okay, my favorite cuisine is Asian. Whether it's Chinese, Japanese,
Mhm.
Korean,
Mhm.
Vietnamese pho, whatever it is, I love Asian food. Um,
That's a good
I
choice.
have three walks. I love to make stir
Oh.
fry. I love to make other stuff. I am not very good at it though. My specialties have always seemed to be Italian and French. Um, I was previously married, and she was like a proper chef, and she was very critical of me, but mostly what she showed me was Italian and French cuisine. So that's mostly, that's probably like I learned about the five mother sauces and all the
Mhm.
other, like the traditional like type stuff from there. But my favorites are Asian cuisine. And it's not something I'm necessarily good at, but it's something I would love to be better at. I guess if you want to
There's
say
so
that.
many
So.
there's so many classes these days,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and like so many books and things. My only, again, I am not of Asian descent. I've cooked Asian
Mhm.
food,
Mhm.
I call it the Midwestern version. So,
Mhm.
because I don't make it authentic, I'm like, this is Midwestern, whatever, insert. But
Yeah.
the thing I've learned about Asian cooking is that it's you got to think of it like architecture, because you're building the layers of flavor,
Mhm.
and you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like, it's that mindset of architecture. Like, okay, the layers of flavor that I want to do, I've got
Mhm.
to
The
kind of get them
foundation.
stacked
Yeah.
up, and then it all works together, and that is the dish. You got to take it
Yeah.
separately and then you put it together. Like, that's just like my kind of mindset
Mhm.
with it. That's the only advice I have. I'm sure someone's gonna see this
Yeah.
and be like, no.
I think
Well,
you're a hundred
I've got
percent.
some.
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I was going to say I've got some good advice because this is how I used to cook Asian food: is I'd buy it frozen from Costco and then put it in the pan and heat it up and
Well,
maybe add some butter or
that
something.
sounds
But
great. Well, for my I'm engaged now to be married. So
congratulations.
yep, thank you. For my for Thanksgiving, I made a duck. obviously Asian
Ooh.
style. And then now for Christmas, in well less than a week, I will also be making another duck. I'll also be making some prime rib with that too. But I mean, long story short,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean it's an obsession
Beef, that's
of mine.
pretty expensive, Mike.
Well, no, prime rib.
Oh, okay.
Prime rib. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, it was yeah, for 10 people it's about $130. So yeah, a little expensive.
that's,
But I got to meet
what's that,
thermometer.
$13 a person? I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, I mean,
Not too bad.
you got to do
Yeah.
it, but I wish I would have known. I wish I would have remembered because I did see your that you talked about duck because I'm actually going to start getting into duck because I want to
Ooh.
start doing duck quesadillas. I've had some really good duck wontons at a place called, is it
Mm.
called Charisse, I think, in
Hmm.
downtown Kansas City. Then I went to Story and I had these really good duck empanadas. And I know duck is one of those things that you have to make sure that you don't overcook it because it gets chewy and
Yeah.
greasy. Like it has its own
Okay.
fat. Like it's something that's it's like a delicacy. You've got to
It's
really
gold.
respect.
It's pure gold.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
gold.
no, but for real, but I love it because you don't have to use a lot of ingredients with duck.
No, duck is
I mean,
duck is
it's
amazing. I Aunt Lainie, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
And
I don't
maybe
think I've ever had it.
in Weston, West or no, I'm sorry, not Weston. Westport.
Mm.
Westport. There's this
yes.
duck
Mhm.
place. God, it's just called like Peking. It's just like it's a very simple name. It's just like Peking. I've gone there like more than a few times. It is amazing for duck. It is, yeah. So yeah, Westport. Yeah, Westport.
First part.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little. I still feel a little new here in Kansas City. So sometimes I don't know all the locations.
Yeah.
But
You've been there since when?
2018. But yeah. But
So
anyways,
about when Aunt Lanny started her show.
yeah, about then.
Yeah, when I first did my first thing where I almost caught myself on fire, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I met you around that time.
Yeah, I think with that. Yeah,
Oh
that
yeah,
is when
Yeah.
the.
you guys met in a knife fighting class, Mike. No,
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 I'm kidding.
no, no.
It
It
was
was
Howdy's kitchen knives class, right?
I don't know if it was the
Mm,
knives class. There was also like a dating. I
it was like a group kind of meetup thing,
yeah.
and there was a bunch of people. Yeah, like you know
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
talking about. Yeah, we went to like,
It's
and it was
hard to
like this
remember
big group thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people like in a group, like went out, and I think there was like it was like a
Oh,
dance place maybe. Kansa, was
okay.
it Kansa when it was
Yeah.
still
Oh
existing?
man, it's so hard to
It was in
remember.
Overland Park. It was years ago. I just remember that because you
Yeah.
were from Minnesota.
Yep. Yeah. We
Yeah.
both were
And
from Minnesota. Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, so to be clear, because Minnesotans will get me on this, I was born in St. Louis Park. I spent the
Okay,
first
nice.
4 years of my life as a Lake Nokomis kid because my mom taught in East St. Paul
Okay.
and my dad was like an insurance guy there. And then my parents were from Kansas. So my dad's mom had fallen ill, so we had to move back to Kansas. And then she ended up living like 17 more years. But so we ended up
Wow.
moving back just because of that.
Yeah.
And then I went there after college. So I went there from 97 to 2003. So
Yeah.
I
I
mean, I feel
was
like I'm a Minnesotan-ish.
Well, no, I mean,
6 years is
you were
yeah.
born here for yeah. No, that's good.
I mean, I was so I was born at St. Joseph's Hospital in St. Paul, which is a little weird
Hmm.
maybe. So I was born in Minnesota. I spent the first 7 years of my life there, and then since then I've lived here, and um I'm 45 years old, which
What?
yeah, I'm 45. Yeah, it's hard.
I thought you were a millennial. I didn't know you were a
No,
zennial.
no,
Yeah.
I thought you were
I'm 40.
35.
I'm 45. Yeah.
I thought you were 35. That's so
My
crazy.
my fiance is actually in her like mid 30s, so I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah,
I felt millennial
Cradle
energy.
Robert.
That was the
Yeah,
millennial energy I
No.
felt. It was millennial energy I
yeah,
felt.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, sometimes it's Gen Z energy when I have to like get into it. But anyway, so long story short, so you know what, Aunt Lainey and I and Tom, we're gonna do more shows, and for sure we're gonna
Yes.
talk about duck. It's we're gonna do something with duck at some point. I know this for a fact. I feel it. I feel the duck energy. But anyways, yeah. Is there anything else before we wrap this up that anyone would like to say or
Do
conclude
you have
with?
anything exciting? Do you have anything exciting coming up, Aunt Laney, or
I
that
mean,
you have
just
planned?
my so I'm also on KKFI 90.1 FM on the Eco Radio Show. I do that maybe like
Okay.
once a month, once every other month. They do my segments on there, and so that's kind of like a local community radio in
Okay.
Kansas City. So I think I might have a show coming up. I have to like check that. Other than that, I'm just going to be cooking and looking at more recipes and
Mhm.
trying to figure out more things for my podcast and my blog. And just kind of trying to do that because we're living in these times where I don't
Mhm.
want to do something where it's too fancy, right? So I've got to kind
Mhm.
of think about what's accessible. That's the frosted graham crackers. My sister was like,
Yeah.
"That's such a deep cut," like, because who would think to do frosted graham crackers in 2025? I'm like, my
Yeah.
1985 self thought about that because
It,
I had those as a kid.
I was thinking when you did the graham crackers, I totally forgot about this until you did it. We would get like the cinnamon graham crackers
Hmm.
and then put peanut butter on them.
Hmm.
And that was a fun treat as a kid. I mean, I was like,
Hmm.
wow. I mean, you can do so many things with graham crackers. They're underrated.
Yep. Now I'm
So,
probably now saying this, people someone's gonna watch a show and we're gonna raise the prices of you just
oh
like
no,
TikTok. We're gonna raise the prices of graham crackers because we talked about it, and I put
check
it on my
Dollar
show.
Tree for graham crackers.
It's gonna be like $8 now. Just kidding.
All right, everyone.
It's the $10 tree.
So so yeah, just at this point, I just wanted to say, it's been great, and we're gonna continue
Yeah.
with more shows like this. And
Yes.
thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank
Oh
you,
no,
everyone.
thanks for coming. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, take
And
care.
Mike, thanks for letting me be your.
Yeah,
This is exciting.
no
This
worries.
is
All
fun.
right.
Okay,
Have a great
All right.
day, everyone.
bye.